Hey there, and welcome to the Best You Nation. We're excited for you, and we hope that this podcast will help you grow, optimize your 24 hours in a day, and help you live elevated. So what are we waiting for? Let's get started. 10, 9, 8, 7, 6, 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. Let's go.
Oh boy, it's a little chilly out here today.
Burr.
Get that fire going, Adler. Oh, hey guys, what's up? It's your boys Finn and Adler from the Best You Nation. We welcome you to a brand new episode of Season 5.
Hey.
Adler, what's going on, man?
Nothing much, man. Just trying to stay warm in this cold weather, but otherwise, I'm hanging in there. How about yourself?
Listen, dude, I'm doing great. It's another week hanging in there just like you are, and it is actually 39 degrees here in Florida, which is surprisingly fairly cold weather.
I know we call the Sunshine State, not the cold, slightly. Yeah, I don't even know. It's just I don't like it. That's all I can say. I don't like it. I moved here for a reason,
and it was to get some of the sunshine.
It was for the sun and the warmth. Yeah. Okay, I'm a warm-blooded individual. My family's from the islands, so there's that.
Well, contrary to you, I was born in Russia and I'm still cold. So
that's because you don't have a jacket on and we're in the snow.
Yeah, exactly. Well, guys, we welcome you to a brand new episode, like we've said, and we're super excited about today because we're going to be talking about something just like we've been committed to this podcast. Today, we're going to be talking about commitment and the importance of it and how you can be more committed in your relationships, whether it be friends, or spouse, or maybe you're projected to
keyword interpersonal relationships.
Interpersonal relationships, that's right.
I believe that commitment, okay, so it's funny because when you use the word commitment, I automatically feel like it incites fear in the hearts and minds of many people.
Oh, for sure.
So, because all right, so you got to think of it like this. Commitment, like people are afraid to settle down. People are afraid to waste time or give effort or have money that invest in somebody because of the fear, to get committed. So I think that for me, commitment, especially when it comes to interpersonal relationships, that's a huge thing because that's how, once you develop that commitment, that's how you develop loyalty. That's how you develop, that strong, powerful bond that regardless of what the current situation is, regardless of how bad things get in your life, that interpersonal relationship is able to help get you through those tough and trying times. But that only happens when you're committed.
For sure.
And that goes for friends, that goes for, boyfriends, girlfriends, wives, husbands, moms, that whatever it is, once you have a committed relationship with somebody, that you have that strength, that cachet to get through anything tough. That's my belief, at least.
Absolutely, man. And you know what's the craziest part about that and what you're saying there is that, we've been talking about this podcast. We just celebrated our first birthday, which by the way is thanks to everybody who
we're 1 year old.
We were 1 year old. We're like a little baby.
We're about to be toddlers. That means we're gonna get pretty crazy here.
Yeah, for real. We got some big things and we're not gonna announce them yet, but with the time we will start announcing things. But commitment to me, man, well, you made a great point, and I think that I want to just highlight our friendship. We've known each other what now? Going on 3 years? 3 years. I think it's the third year. I think we about 3 years ago when I was in my last year, maybe of transport.
2018.
So yeah, 3 years.
Yeah, I started Popka sometime February 6th, 2018.
Okay, so I remember. So it was probably March that I ran into you.
Okay.
But what's crazy about this right here, I want to talk about our friendship, is that the commitment that we have to this podcast, the commitment to our accountability, the commitment to our health, our wellness, our mindfulness. So I just want to highlight some things real quick because I think people out there who hear this, people have asked you and have asked me and have asked both of us, how are you guys such good friends? How are you guys doing this podcast? And people want to know, what keeps you guys going? Well, number one, Adler, you are a phenomenal person that I get to spend time with.
Oh, stop.
Nah,
Stop.
I'm being for real, man. We do this podcast on a daily basis, and just beside the podcast, outside of here, I've drove up to Jacksonville, drove up to Georgia multiple times, and I can never. I don't think the story ever gets old about the whole, like, when celebrating my birthday, like, you were committed to me in my growth, in my health, and you still are. I mean, this is what you do. You run 24 hours in a day, which, by the way, is, if you haven't done so, go check it out. It's on Instagram. It is Adler's platform. It's called 24 Hours a Day, at 24 Hours in a Day, literally. 24HRSINDAY. Go check him out.
So
do it right now.
Here at the Best You Nation, we do our best to give you a weekly dose of motivation.
That's right.
However, I try to do a daily dose of motivation when I'm with using my platform 24 hours in a day. And it's just, it's the same concept that we have here at the Best You. We want to be the best versions of ourselves and to use our time effectively and as meaningful as possible.
Absolutely.
So that's like a huge thing to me. And I know that's a huge thing to you. And it's something that we're both passionate about.
Absolutely.
But like, just going back to the level of commitment, right? I can honestly say that, like, out of like all the people that, like, in terms of friends or family and stuff like that, you would probably be the only person I would, venture off and do like a podcast with, largely because it's, there's a certain level of commitment, a craft that you have to have, right? Mm-hmm. And like, there's a work ethic, and you have that work ethic. Like, there's a lot of times, like, it's funny because, like, I see a lot of myself, like a younger version of myself in you. Like, I'm like, man, when I was young, I used to think that way. I used to, and I see it. And I know that, like you're oozing potential. And I think that's one of my, I call it my gift, I want to say, is I can see the potential in people. So even if, like, the person doesn't see it, like, I can see potential, like, wow, hey, you're really good at X, Y, and Z. You could be even better if you continue down this path. And I love just kind of like pushing people, like challenging your thought, like, all right, if this is something that you want to do, then why are you not doing it? Chase after it, go do it.
But you're committed to not only your own personal goals. And I think you're at a point in your life now where you've committed to you spent time with you focused on you, which I hope you never stop doing, because I think it's a continuous progress. That kind of would defeat the whole purpose of us having this podcast. But you have gotten to a point where now you are able to multitask. And me, as an example, you have pushed me out of my comfort zone on multiple occasions. As of right now, actually, you've pushed me to be vegan for a week, and which was really, honestly, very difficult. I'm excited.
But you liked it though, because
it's a great feeling. I mean, I've lost. If I'm gonna be honest, I've lost 6 pounds.
This is lean right here.
I'm leaning out, but it's because of the
choices.
Listen, choices. That's what it's all about, right? But on an honest note, man, like, I appreciate powering through the podcast, powering through our friendship, because you have shown me how to power through some of the obstacles that I have had as a young guy. I think that's really an important thing, is to have somebody, multiple people, if you do, you're committed, and you didn't really know me at first. That's the thing that's crazy. We commit ourselves. That's what relationships are all about. You committed into who I am as a person from the first sight of, like, hanging out, chilling in the hospital for a second, and then, like, establishing a friendship.
So, and me, like, I do this thing where I have to kind of, before, like, I can, like, I guess, call you a friend or whatever, I kind of vet the situation, right? Mm-hmm. So it's just kind of like, all right, we're cool, we're acquaintances, it's whatever. And then, you kind of start to, find out more about the person, like, what's your why, what are you doing, and, like, what's your plan. And, like, I think when I met you, the motive, it was so we're not going to go into,
I don't want to go into detail, but we had there was a lot of transitions that I had there.
The most important thing to me was just like, all right, hey, I see this young kid that, he's wet behind the ears, breath smelling like Similac, like just a young kid, just, he's on the scene, and he has this hunger, this desire, this passion, and it's to help people. And it's like, all right, cool. I thought you were as an acquaintance, you're cool. But then it's just like, all right, so I see, all right, he has plans, he has goals, he has drive. And that's something that I wouldn't say it's a rarity, but like there's a different level of intensity for each person.
Mhm.
And the intensity level that you have is one that matches mine, because like and I'll be truthful, I'm borderline psycho, like when it comes to like intensity level sometimes. And I'll be like completely like, if I told you the intricacies of my mind and like what motivates me and how I accomplish my goals, it's like it doesn't make sense. It really doesn't make
But it
sense.
doesn't have to make sense, as it's
Yeah.
working, and people are going to people want to know, how are you there, how did you get there? And that's kind of something that I was going to point out, and I guess you picked my brain before I could even say it, but that's really what keeps me me driven. I try to surround myself with people that are going to help me become better.
Yeah.
And it doesn't necessarily mean they're going to spoon feed me or do it for me. It's that level of commitment, like, okay, I'm going to power through and help this young man, get his life together in some shape or form. And it's those friendships, those relationships, those people that you run into. I think that it makes all the difference when you can begin to understand and cultivate this idea and this mindset with people, and you go, oh, this guy's driven, this guy's successful, this guy's got this guy's got this going on. I mean,
Mhm.
we are born on this earth to develop friendships, develop relationships. We want to be recognized by people.
Yeah.
But I think that a lot of times we don't do a very good job of fully committing. I think we try to do a half job of commitment.
Mhm.
So I have always been the type of person where I've never really ever wanted to just half do commitments. I think one of the greatest fears that I've had is rejection, which we've talked about before. And that's why I think a lot of people don't commit. Because when you commit, that means when you go through a season where it is difficult, where if you're married, if you're in a relationship, you're trying to figure out where you are, a lot of times the reason why we don't power through is because number one, we've never really fully committed what we say we did. And number two, you're scared of what could possibly result in, whether it be a divorce, whether it be a breakup, whether it be a loss of a friend because
Fear
of something that is, conflicting between two people. So I'm just really grateful, Adler, that we sat down at Starbucks one day and we talked about the motive, and you talked about 24 hours a day and cultivating and brainstorming ideas to really get things going. I think this was later on in the year of 2018 where we really sat down and started talking about things. And that's why it's so crucial for people to get around people that are successable, or at least
What's
thinking
the
in
thing? It
your
says
wave path.
iron sharpens iron. That's true. And like I've always heard the saying, if you are in a room with 5 millionaires, if you hang out with them long enough, you'll be a six. Like that same mentality, that same mindset. And one of the best worst things you could ever do around me as a human being, especially if once I consider you a friend of mine, is tell me your goal and your dream. Because the moment that you hold, like you say that, I will hold you accountable
Trust me, I know.
to what you said and be like, hey, what you doing? Hey, it remind you, hey, remember this is what you told me this. So what's the plan? So are you still doing it?
Well, I can
Like,
give you an example. There's one that's right now that is in the making, in the process. I won't share too much detail because I kind of want to keep this quiet a little bit.
Yeah.
Because I'm excited to share it, but I
Of
also
course.
want to be at that point where I will announce it. But I've talked about my book. I've talked about, this production for a couple of years. And I'm going to be honest with you, Adler. You are one of the most proactive people that has kept me accountable. I don't think I've quit because you said, you need to get this out, dude. You got to get this out. Where are you at? Why haven't you get it out yet? What is stopping you? What's holding you back? And at this point in time now, I'm in the process with help of some amazing people, powering, helping me financially, who you are, helping me push through and become more aware, more concrete with this development. Adler pushing me, motivating me, reminding me on a not just a daily, but on an annual basis. For the last 3 years, you have said, why isn't your book out? You have asked me, why isn't it out yet? You've been talking about it. Where is it at? develop this, make it happen. Let's go. So that's just one of many examples,
Yeah.
and I just want to highlight that because it is something that's on its way. 2021 is the year for publication of this book, and that comes with commitment. I was discouraged multiple times. I talk about that, and I think again that can even be something as simple as with a book. It doesn't even have to be a relationship or a friendship that you can be easily discouraged by the situation. So, but you're absolutely right, man. I think commitment is one of those things that
Well,
people don't
so
acknowledge sometimes, I think.
so in terms of friendship, right? I think that like a committed friendship, right? That means that when we are friends, or it's the same thing that I think we had discussed like what 2 seasons ago when we were talking about love. And when you say love, it's interchangeable. I care for you, right? So my biggest thing is when I say, like, let's say if you ask me for something, and you're my friend, you're the one of the people that like I trust, and like I would to me when you ask me for something, that means it's serious, and I take it serious. And when I say I got you, that means, hey, I got your back with whatever it is that you want me to do. You tell me when, the time, place, I'll be there. I got you.
Yeah.
Like that's something that like it means near and dear to me. And kind of like what you said, like-minded individuals, each one of us is a flame, and we have the power to give light to people who are wandering in darkness, and also warm them with our flames. But we also have to be poured back into inversely. And like you do the same thing for me. So like if there's something I need, if there's I call you at 7 o'clock in the morning and you're asleep when you wake up, like we're gonna have like whatever conversation. I'm gonna ask you whatever, and then you do the same thing, vice versa. And that's just kind of like that's something that I try to establish. Like I think loyalty is like the biggest thing to me. Like I think it's one characteristic that I value more than anything, because once you have like a committed, loyal friend, like you're my friend for life. Like that means until I die or you die, until death do us part, we're friends. That's it, man.
Sure.
Like that, there's not really much else that you can really do to like deter me from being your friend.
And that's powerful, man. I think that I want people to sit there for a minute, and when they're hearing us talk about our friendship, I want people to analyze, and then I mean this with a seriousness, because we live in a society, in a world. I was actually talking to one of my nurse friends. Actually, I work with her on the weekends, usually in triage, and powerful discussions and topics of discussion every single weekend we work. Amazing. She's a mother of 4, married to a pastor. Awesome nurse. Awesome, just individual. I love working with her. She's absolutely amazing, super inspiring, super encouraging.
Yeah.
And she knows who she is. It's amazing to have this conversation. We had this conversation today, and she's one of those nurses that just in general, anybody that I could talk to about things. And we've talked about things. And today we had a discussion about how everybody in the world, a lot of people are in this mindset of instant everything. I'm talking about instant gratification. They need an Amazon Prime membership where things show up their house within hours, days, and maybe even just the 1 to 2 days.
Mm.
People have this mindset that things need to be right now. And we don't really think about it, but relationships aren't the right now kind of. You can't rush friendship. You can't rush relationships. You cannot jump in and one day later say, hey, we're like best friends, because that's not one. First of all, I'm gonna be honest, it's not realistic. But number 2, you're not developing that establishment with somebody and the people that you spend time with. I have realized that I've never really fit in with the popular crowd. I always tried to. And I think that we as people naturally want to fit in and have to be recognized or be welcomed or to be a part of a group. And I realized I never really fit into that group. I always tried. But as I've gotten older, I have cared less about that. I'm more committed to people that I can actually relate to, that I'm growing off of. So like, as an example, when we first started this podcast, our mindset was we want to help people grow. We want people to develop. We want people to find how they can cultivate the best way and the most optimal way to become
the best version
of who they are. Exactly.
Yeah.
So it's one of those things that realizing that you got to get out of your mind as far as like rushing friendships, rushing relationships, thinking that you can just go in halfway and expect a full package. You get what you put in. So if you only put in 10%, you're only going to get 10%.
Correct.
Don't expect a 100% if you're only putting 10%. And that's for men, women, young ladies out there listening to this. You want to love somebody. You want to commit to somebody. You want friends that are actually going to keep their accountability with you. Don't half ASS it. I'm just going to be real with you because I have done that myself. I have had others do that to me, and it's not a great feeling. It's not good. But when you fully commit yourself to people, like you said earlier, Adler, I got you. I might not be financially up there with you, but as far as like, there are times you called me or I've called you and you need to talk about something, I will do whatever I can in my power, in my realm of power, to do whatever I can to continue to keep your back.
Of course.
Talk to you, listen to you. I'm a terrible listener. And I'm going to be honest. I say this on air because it's something that I have to personally work on. And I have gotten better. But it's one of those things that I have to continue to grow and do, because what am I doing? Just like everybody else is doing listening to this podcast, becoming the best version of themselves. It's a discipline. It's a practice. You're not going to do this overnight, but you got to be committed to not only doing it, but be committed to yourself. That's the biggest thing. I think a lot of people forget. Commit to everything else, but you forget to commit to yourself.
Mm-hmm.
So, man, commitment is such a big obligation. And I think the reason why so many people get afraid is because they don't realize how much comes with the word commitment. It just, like you said, it goes back to being, caring about somebody. I want to talk about something that real quick that you pointed out.
Yeah.
And I love the fact that you pointed out loyalty.
Mm-hmm.
How many of you guys go to Starbucks on a regular basis, or maybe throughout the week, and you guys notice they have this star program that they do, and you guys don't even think about it, but you guys are gaining stars every single time you get a coffee, get your, Americano or your iced latte with some almond cream foam stuff on top to make it fancy, whatever, right? Cold brew, nitro. Let's keep it real, keep it easy, simple. The point that I'm trying to make is they have a loyalty program that you are invested in. You get those stars, you get a free cup of coffee, you get your own specialty drink, parfait, whatever the case may be. That's how committed. If you're committed to your bucks, to your Starbucks, that's how committed you should. You should be more than that, but you should have that mindset of loyalty.
So check this out. Like we're using our friendship as a example, right?
Yeah.
So knowing that that we have to record a podcast like once a week.
Do you want to share with people what time it is? Because I think people don't realize it's midnight and we're recording an episode, and I have to work tomorrow.
Yep.
You got other errands that you have to run tomorrow.
I'm actually off tomorrow, but I do have a handful of errands to do. Plus, I am in school. So it's, the thing is, like,
I start Monday. I think
we are committed to not only each other and, like, making sure that we record the podcast, but we're committed to, all you listeners, the viewers. Like, we're committed to you guys because we know
the fam bam.
Yeah, we know that. We know that we have to.
That's from the Flintstones.
Okay.
The fam bam is from the Flintstones.
Yeah.
I got called out today for not knowing what fam bam was, and I was walking around saying it, so I apologize. Fam bam. Whatever.
No, that's fine.
I didn't mean to cut you off. Go for it.
Nah, but we're committed to producing more or providing more content. We're committed to, like, I'm committed to whatever schedule you got. Like, I tie my future ambitions, goals, and aspiration. I tie them along with you. And like, if you have, they always say that if you have a powerful enough why, then it'll always get you through the hardest times. And, one of the reasons why I do this podcast is because of you. And like, I know that at any point in time, I have to give you my absolute best. Even if it's not 100%, I got only 80% in the tank. I'm going to give you all 80%. I got to give you my best because I know that, we have a tied like,
commitment.
Yeah.
I mean, not to be cliche, but like we're
that's
committed
we're
to
committed to
what we're doing here.
You're committed to your goal, and I'm committed to my goal, and they happen to be the same thing. And I'm going to give you absolutely my best 100% of the time.
Same, man. Reciprocating that back at you, and we're not here to tell you that y'all's friendships or anybody else's friendships out there are not Adlernized, but be unique in your commitment. Be unique in the people that you connect with. Sometimes this is just an honest thing, and I'm going to share this with you because I've had to do this. I would not be where I am today, Adler, had I not let go of some of the commitments that I was making because I wasn't fully committed. And sometimes we partially commit to something and we allow ourselves to believe we've committed completely. But when you really sit back and think about this, and I challenge you, take some time, analyze the people that you surround yourself. Are you growing? Are you progressing?
Yeah.
It's something that I do on a yearly basis every single year. It's actually twice a year. On my birthday and at the end of the year, I evaluate myself and see where I am. If you're sitting there and you're somebody listening to this podcast right now going, I'm not growing because I'm around some of these people. It's not because you can't progress with these people. It's just sometimes we're not meant to progress for a long term. Some people aren't meant to be in your season or your life forever. I personally believe that the people that I used to hang around have made me a better person because I recognize that this isn't necessarily what I want to do. It doesn't make them worse. It doesn't make them better. It's something that when someone once told me, and this was about a relationship that I was in with somebody just a few years ago, and it wasn't the greatest towards the end. But what I want to share with you is this. Just because you and your partner are not awesome together, that doesn't disqualify you from still being an awesome person.
Yeah.
Individually, you guys are amazing. But sometimes when you look at your relationship that you're in, it's hard to see how unbalanced things can be, how not committed you are. If you take a step back and you analyze yourself as a person and analyze the other person and go, well, we really aren't really that good together, but we're good and we're great and we're amazing individually. Sometimes that's the only way that you really are going to grow. So that I'm not saying let go of people to be mean. What I'm saying is let go of people so that they can move forward and you can move forward in your own path so you can reach your destiny. Resting and taking those moments to analyze every single relationship is a crucial thing. And it's a practice. It's not something you can do overnight. I think that part right there,
it's going to take time.
I get overwhelmed all the time thinking, my God, I want to, like the stock market, dude. We just talked about the stock market. We just talked about it for a good solid 30 minutes and I'm motivated, man.
Yeah.
But I never wanted to get involved in the stock market. I never wanted to be a nurse. I mean, to be honest with you, there's a lot of things that I didn't want to do, but a lot of it is because I was influenced by the wrong people. Oh, don't be a nurse. Everybody else is a nurse. Everybody works in healthcare. Everybody's making money being a nurse. But then I realized how much I care about people and how much I love people and how much I'm committed to people.
Great.
This is the field of work that requires that kind of level of commitment. I mean, that's literally every single day. I mean, you're committed to patients on all kinds of units, PCU, cardiac PCUs, COVID units. Like you could easily just say, nah, this isn't for me. And easily just uncommit yourself because it's the struggles, just like relationships. Oh man, I can't date this girl because this isn't working. Or, hey, this marriage isn't going to continue because this isn't working.
Yeah.
But I'll let you take the mic, man.
No, I agree with everything that you're saying. Like, you have to have that commitment in order to cultivate those type of relationships. And I think like, I guess just for me, like if you're feeling, and this goes out to listeners, right? If you're feeling like you're bummed out or sad or depressed, at least for me, when I get that way, I find that when I commit myself to somebody else, like, something that's outside of myself, then one, I'm helping, create a light in your world, but at the same time, I'm also creating a light in my world because I'm able to kind of like, bounce out of I bounce out of like, that funk, if I'm in it. And like, all right, one of the most flattering compliments that I've ever had in my life, I just got just the other day. One of my friends, we've been friends since I was 11 years old, and I'm 30 now. So just context, So we've been friends since we were 11 years old. My birthday is October 13th. His birthday is October 14th. Like we've been at each other's side for the longest. And like one of the things that he told me is just like, man, if there's one thing that you can count on is Adler motivating somebody and pushing them to try different things or pushing them to strive for their goals. And that's I believe like it warms up my heart to hear that, because it's just like, all right, if my goal and my desire to when I walk this earth is to impact, and you're basically saying that, hey, you impacted me in a huge way, and because of that, I started doing X, Y, and Z. That is the biggest compliment, but it's also amazing to watch your growth as you start to chase after that goal that we discussed.
Mm-hmm.
So that's something that I think that when you have committed friends that are committed to you, then you're able to accomplish more, you're able to do more, and you're able to work together with more people because you know that you have that backing.
You build a chain reaction of people who are connected and want to commit and do things that you said. I have seen a lot of people in my life that have been better at sports than me, have been better at doing certain things that I had, like, playing an instrument. One of the things that I used to tell myself that you have to be better than them. And I'm not saying that in a vain way. I'm just saying that sometimes I think when we don't put in 100%, we don't connect 100%. And so like every week, and the reason why I had us talk about the time, by the way, was that it is midnight and I should be laying in bed resting.
Yes.
But we've had nights like this where we've gone till 3:00 in the morning.
This is correct.
Planning, talking. And sometimes we don't even start recording until but 3 hours after we've had our own dude talk right here on just chatting about life. And sometimes I forget to appreciate those moments because you don't realize sometimes when you're so knee deep in work and school and all these other things that are coming at you, you have to come back to the basics. And I think we've talked about that often, is coming back to the basics.
Yep. You got to go back to basics to reorient yourself.
Exactly. Observe your friends.
Yep.
Recognize your goals. Keeping an eye on, because when I lose my track, I feel like it's almost weird. It's the weirdest feeling, but like, I feel like when I lose track of something, you and amongst a couple other people that, I talk about often, Brianna and John, you guys are, listen, there's a lot of people out there, and don't get me wrong, but those people right there, you guys are committed to me, and everyone else who's out there who, who you are. But in the recent years, my growth as a person, I'm just going to shout it out. You guys really, it's in here. You guys see me grow. You guys hear from me almost every single day.
Yeah.
And every single person should have those 3 to 4 people. I'm not saying don't have the other 100. What I'm saying is have 3 or 4 people that are going to be right there that you know who they are. Just keep in mind, like, when you're at your bottom, you need people to keep you up. And it's hard when you have 100 people wanting to do it. I almost would get overwhelmed if I had 100 people reaching out to me right all at one time. It's good. It's kind of like okay, real quick. I have to make this sound a little bit more elaborative just to make this sound better.
Okay.
It's like a football team.
Yep.
You don't have just one quarterback. You have 4-string quarter. You have 4 strings. You have 4 guys that can play the position. Think about you, John, Brianna are like my first string quarterbacks. Okay, you guys are like my first go-tos, and that's just. It sounds so bad, but at the same time, it's like this is the reality. You have your front line, you have everybody else that follows along, and those people, it's how you find those people in your friendships, how you've built the relationships. I know people that I was friends with for like a month, a year, and it's like it trickles away.
Yeah.
So it's not. I don't want you guys to think that it's personally your fault that something may not be committed. Sometimes it's just not meant to be for a long time. You're gonna have your 4 people. You know who they are, and that's just how it is.
I think I wouldn't necessarily. So like, I believe that you need to have people on your path, your journey, in order to be successful in reaching that goal. And the reason why I wouldn't necessarily agree with you have to have 3 or 4 people, I would more so say you need to have at least 1. And as long as you have that 1, then you can accomplish as many things as possible. Sure. It's limitless. Like you have like great. I guess
that's the best way of saying.
Yeah,
I think it's as good as midnight, system. But you're right. You're right.
You have to have a good support system, and that's the main thing. It doesn't necessarily have to be out like 3 or 4 for me. It is you need to have that 1 at least, because I know there's people out there that don't really have like many friends or go to, but as long as they have that 1, they can.
That's probably why I say it like that, because I'm friendly to everybody. I know I talk to everybody, so I don't want you guys to think that I'm discounting you. I just talk to everybody, but there's some things I'm just not going to talk to certain people about because it's just.
And you don't have to either. This,
I feel guilty sometimes because I feel like when I say certain things on this podcast, like just right now, I almost feel like I've insulted a large group of people, but it's not intentional. I'm just saying, like,
I don't even think anybody's going to take this out. Just more so just, I think and this is just my own opinion, my take. As long as you have 1, then you can accomplish anything.
Yeah.
If you have none, then it's going to be a little bit more, challenging.
It's true. I just know my 4 people, and they know who they are.
Well, and that's good.
And it's everybody in your walk, in your journey, may not always be committed, and that's okay. But that's why today, this episode, this is rekindling that fire of commitment. There's people out there that I am very close to, and we talk, we communicate. And maybe it's a season to reestablish and try to recommit in a sense where maybe we missed that communication, or maybe you missed that opportunity. Mm-hmm. And so maybe this episode will remind you that commitment isn't just a handout. And that's maybe what I was trying to get at a few minutes ago. It's not about just like 100. I'm not looking for 100,000 friends. I can care less. I want to be 1,000 miles deep into my friendships, not have 100,000 friends and only 2 centimeters below, because then I don't really know you. I'm superficial. Get to know me. Let me get to know you. That's the kind of commitment I'm talking about.
Okay. Hey, and that's exactly what all human beings want. That's all, inevitably like what we all desire. So, I mean, that's perfect that you said that. Just like a question that I guess I have is when it comes to commitment, right? Mm-hmm. With your 4 people or whatever the case may be.
I think I have more than 4 people, but I talk to 4 people like on a regular basis. I think that's kind of where I'm getting at with that.
I guess like it's a generic question, but how do they stay committed to you? Like how exactly? Like, is it like the text or reminder, like, hey, you can go do this. You're doing well. You get a little bit of like, acknowledgement and affirmation. Like, like how do people best show their commitment, to you?
So the way that I look at this, and I think that for me personally, at least, I believe words of affirmation are super important. I typically find myself sending people text messages all the time, reminding them how amazing they are and how they can push through their day and that they can get through everything. And I text that to everybody. But I also feel like it's a special text message when I personally do it for people, for all people, because I know that somebody needs to hear it. For the people that I talk to on a regular basis, and I'm talking about like every single day or at least every other day, but know that if I don't hear from them, I'm not going to stress that they're going to come back and text. Like you even said the other day, like earlier today, you were like, I hadn't heard from you like in a day, but it's not normal of me to not do that.
Yeah.
Usually I'm pretty good about responding pretty quickly, but words of affirmation for sure. The reminder of like, hey, you can do this. Spending time with the people, like doing this podcast, Adler. This isn't something that you can just do with anybody. We talked about this in the beginning. You have to find that level of commitment that people may or may not have, and that's okay. Some people aren't going to be able to sit here and do podcasts at midnight. That's fine. That's perfectly okay.
Yeah.
So spending the time with people is number one. The laughter and spending that kind of quality of time with people, quality of time and the words of affirmation. Honestly, I know that sounds like we're talking love language stuff, but that's truthfully and honest to God. For me, that's my accountability, the reminder, hey, stay on track.
Yes.
Spending time with you in Georgia, my birthday turned into a, hey, you need to get a plan together, an action plan to figure out where you're going to go to school. Or I think it was a little bit before that, but you reminded me
about like 3 weeks, 4 weeks prior.
Yeah. To get, hey, what's your plan? So it's those little moments that add up to big moments. And those big moments are the driving force to step up to the next part of the journey.
Okay. Yeah.
So, like, for example, a couple of weeks ago, John and I went on a trip to the Smoky Mountains. And it's funny because while we are talking about the podcast, we were off the grid. As a matter of fact, this background photo here on our Zoom recording session here is actually of us
from that trip.
But we took a lot of time learning about the struggle. I'll tell you, climbing the Smoky Mountains was ridiculously the most brutal thing I've done in my entire life. Okay. I thought basic training was brutal. This was nothing compared. Climbing up a mountain, going up 3,000 feet, 11% incline. If you ever do that, go try it on a treadmill. I learned what I'm capable of doing and what limits I can break.
Yeah.
But let me tell you something. Do you know that I had moments where I was like, John, I don't think we're going to finish this today. We need to take a break. John kept telling me, no, it's going to be really cold tonight. And if we don't finish this, we're going to freeze.
Yep.
So John kept telling me, and he's moving at like 4 miles per hour. I'm over here to lollygag because I'm soaking wet. I got blisters. I was miserable. Okay. Out of the both of us, I was suffering pretty bad. But John was saying, dude, we're going to be done. We're going to finish this. We're going to get a burger. We're going to get some wings. We're going to go enjoy our time in Gatlinburg. And that right there is committed to getting things done. But he kept me accountable because I was really not happy with coming down a mountain, soaking wet, cold, and miserable. But we still power through. And it's those kind of moments, of many moments, that being committed to your friend is crucial.
Yeah.
So I'm going to throw that question back at you.
So the way that you can show your commitment is truthfully by focusing on your goal. Like if you can, and like if you're my friend and you have a goal in mind and you're focusing on your specific goal, that actually motivates me because I see the way you work. I see that passion. I see that you leading by example to me. And that's something that is huge to me. I want to know that that same intensity is being put someplace else, like somewhere else out there. Someone's putting that same level of intensity. So I need that's something that I feed off of, for sure, which is why it's so important to have the right people around you. Because if you have the wrong people around you and you're doing the when you have people around you. Okay, sorry. All right, my word slipped. Anyway, when you have people around you that are working and motivated and committed, then it just pushes me to continue working out. Like working out, right? Going to the gym. I love going to the gym because that's something that like there's other people around that I know that, hey, I'm putting in this commitment and I'm suffering, but this other person to my right, this other one to my left, they're doing the exact same thing. So not only do I feel good while doing it, I feel even better when I complete it and I watch somebody else. I'm just like, man, like in my head, I whispered to myself, work was done here today. It's time to go home, get your rest, do your thing. And that's just something that, if you're my friend, if you're somebody that I call a colleague, a friend, and I say, I got you, that's how they motivate me, is by doing the best. And you can be any goal. You can be like, from one of my friends, I want to be the best mom possible. And so, her biggest thing is home cooked meals, making sure that the house is well kept, and like, just that level of commitment is going to be equally as impressive, as important as another friend of mine. He's a business owner. He started his own business and he's pushing and working like 5 to 6 days a week, doing like 12 hours here, 12 hours there, sometimes going to 14 hours if the occasion requires him to. So like watching just from being the best mom / wife to being the best businessman, everything pushes and motivates me like that. And that's how, like, if you're my friend, that's how you're going to get me to motivate me.
So there's somebody that I want to highlight real quick that we both talk about often, and before we kind of wrap things up, and that is Elon Musk. I was reading something about, and I've been doing a lot of reading. Actually, this is one of the things that I have done in the last few weeks. I've been doing a lot of reading and just digging into these successful people. But Elon Musk says, he said something about grinders grind. He was talking about, he had posted something on, I think Twitter, or Facebook, one of those social media platforms, and he had mentioned, a lot of people may know or may not know, but he just surpassed Jeff Bezos as far as the richest man in the world.
Yep.
Do you know what Elon Musk's response was to that?
What?
It's time to get back to work. It's like, wait, you just bypassed the most wealthiest guy who owns Amazon and has been super successful, and all your response is it's time to get back to work, as if that's not the end game. That is like just
that's just the tip of the iceberg. There's so much more to come, and
grinders grind.
I think it's especially in that situation, to me, like the way I interpret that is grinders grind, and that means that like I'm not going to get distracted by celebrating, oh, I'm the quote unquote richest man. I still have other goals. My goal wasn't to become the richest man. My goal was to give a product that can change the world.
Well, that's exactly what he is. Elon Musk literally tell you that he is focused on what he can do to make the most effective and the most efficient technology or product for people out there. But we got to wrap this up.
We do.
This is a wrap. And, episode 2 of season 5, we focused on commitment, and I think that this is just a tip of the iceberg kind of conversation. I don't think this is going to be just a one-time thing. I think we can talk about it more often.
Yeah, we can build on this. Yeah,
and sure. I think that each of you has potential to reach commitment, and we challenge you to go be more committed. Be committed to your goals. Be committed to the people that you're around. Find your group of people that you have to create that accountability with, because I think it's really crucial to have friends, but find those friends that are going to keep you accountable. I know it's been an interesting past year, 2020. Take 2021 as an opportunity to seek out those friendships, those relationships, kind of skim through what's working, what's not working for you.
And who knows, those relationships that you had that, gone stale, or, there's, an issue or whatever, expired. Yeah. I mean, just if you have issues with somebody, it's 2021. I would almost encourage you to get out there and try to mend whatever the issue it is, or, just so that you can find peace.
Or just manifest your next step, manifest your next opportunity, and try to work things out. And if things
just
don't work
building
out,
on what you said.
So
yeah.
Hey, it's all good, man. It's another opportunity. That's all it is.
Yeah. And of course, guys, as we close, thank you again for tuning in. We'll probably touch on this a little bit more, because I feel like there's a little bit more that we kind of wanted to expound on, but we don't have enough time. But we wish you guys nothing but an amazing week. nothing but blessings, and just continue being the best version of yourself. And even when you fall short, get back on the bike and keep pedaling. Okay,
that's right. Be committed.
Yeah.
Hashtag
Yes.
be committed.
Be committed.
All right, guys. Peace.